Hello there, this is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com. Thank you for joining me today. This week I feature to you the tags on the left and the card on the right on the blog. And today I'm going to show you how to make them. And part two of this video is going to be that folder that you just saw. I had to break it up, and creating this video was, after that voiceover experience, I'm really going to go to Facebook Lives now. Those are our tags, and we will be going through the dimensions, the whole 9 yards, my thoughts when I was creating them. And those are the cards. This is just the cutest project ever, and it's really easy too. That is the inside. And it uses Celebration Field and Flower, or Flower and Field DSP. I forgot which it is, but that's a great designer series paper. I enjoyed working with it so much. All my colors coordinate with it. And this project's a little time consuming, maybe an hour, hour and a half or so, but maybe two. But once you get everything going, then you'll be fine. And again, I'll have all the measurements for you. That is a welcoming window, and those are the dies that come along with it. There's a lot of standalone dies, a lot of possibilities. I also brought in Pattern Play, which you really don't have to do it. I use that because I kind of discovered a mess up a little bit. I use dots on the cards, and on the tags I use bricks, and I really should have used bricks all along, but I ended up fixing it. We are going to be using a Stitch with Whimsy dies. All they do is emboss into the cardstock, like you're seeing right there, on the card and the tag. And then, of course, for our border, I'm using the Scallop Stitched Edge with Stitch Be Mine. And I hope that never retires, because that one die cut there is such a staple. So we know who I'm going to be hollering for tomorrow. Chiefs, how to get the manicure in their honor. So we are going to get started now. Our card base is Sahara Sand A2 top folding, 4 1/4 across by 5 1/2 down. And I'm taking the largest Stitch with Whimsy die. That's not going to cut, it's going to impress. And I'm going to run it through the full size Big Shot there. And just use a little bit of tape to, purple tape to keep it secure while it goes through there. So as that gets run through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, like I said, this is going to be 2 videos because this one was getting really, really long. And I had some issues, so we're going to be doing the folder. I might put that up either tomorrow on Sunday or later on today, or definitely Monday after the Super Bowl. So that is what we are looking like for our card base. And this is where I pull in the Pattern Play dots. And you don't want to do that. You want to use the brick impression instead. And I inked up a pad of our craft white ink, and that went down really well. And on the original cards, I took the pad and just swiped it all the way around the edges of the card. So that is a piece of our designer series paper that is going to be 4 1/4 across by 1 inch. And I'm bringing that card in there, and I was using it as my guide, but doing this voiceover, I'm thinking back. I put every single one of them in my Stampin' Dimensional, measured up 3/4 of an inch, and then went ahead and laid down our designer series paper. So that is our image panel, and that is going to be 2 3/4 across by 3 1/4 down. And I'm pulling in our little sentiment and the Stamparatus, but you don't have to feel like you have to write down all these measurements now, because they'll be over on the blog at cindybdesigns.com, and there will be a direct link to that in this YouTube description. So I had to pull the Stamparatus up to me a little bit just to make sure that it was straight. It's looking good. And I'm using my cubes this time from Paper Pumpkin. And my black was kind of not halfway empty, but I need to ink it up. So I pulled everything up, and I'm testing it because I have to ink it up again just to make sure it'll go down right. And it did. So when you see me use my hand like that, I'm not pressing down or anything. It's just really light to get the best impression I can. Do I have to do that? I doubt it. It's just habit, I guess. So I'm pulling in the vase from Welcoming Window, stamping that out onto a piece of regular basic black cardstock. I have no idea why I did that. I just flipped it around, and that's going to be laid down in basic gray. And I know I'm zoomed in a little bit, so I'm going to move the Stamparatus back and forth. Give that a good press. And to me, this is going kind of slow, so I might pick it up here just a little bit in a minute. And I'm gauging. Do I do a second one? No. So I just flipped it around. I don't like to, on the far right there where the vase is, when you have clear stamps that are up that close to the door, sometimes you don't get a full impression the first off. So yeah, that's why I always like to move it. So as I was rambling on, I showed you how I had 2 X's on my stamp sheet there. And that's just a cue to me because I had 2 greenery bunches and then 2 different sets of flowers. That way I don't have to match them up every single time. So I just, made it easy on myself. That is just jade, and I'm laying that down for our greenery. And then I'm going to be bringing in Bumblebee for our flowers. So as I'm chattering, I'm going to be laying down the Bumblebee flowers, but the Flower and Field Designer series paper that you see me use is part of Celebration, which is going to be over in about 3 weeks. So that is free with a $50 purchase before taxes and shipping. And then I also have my buy one, get one going on. So that's like a double bonus for you because I need to get rid of the rest of my Christmas stuff. So I am lining up the dies over the images, and I'll end up bringing in our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. When you use that, you want to make sure that your cardstock is not any larger than 3 inches across because that is what that will take. I use both, and I got to tell you, I didn't think I really would, but after I saw what I could do with that and not have to pull in the full-size one from behind me all the time, I went ahead and got it. So we have everything cut out there, and that is what we are looking like. So once I get all of them, our 2 dies cut out, I'm going to put 1 Stampin' Dimensional, a full-size one, in the middle of the vase, and then 2 over on the back of the flowers. And I'm going to grab our seal and just lay that down on the back of our image panel, pull back in the Stamparatus eventually, and I'm going to use the L, like I always do, to adhere down our image panel right on top of our designer series paper. And you see me every week use this tool for pretty much everything. So I brought in the dog punch and punched that out with Flirty Flamingo and added a glue dot on the back of that from a leftover paper pumpkin kit. And that twine is from Flowers for Every Season. And I wrap that around twice and then end up tying a bow over towards the left there. And of course I had to change frame because I messed with it for about 2 minutes before I finally got it right, because you know how I am with tying bows. Got that down, and then I'm going to sneak another glue dot underneath that knot there once I get everything figured out the way I want it to. I stick my fingers in between the loops to keep them nice and loopy and to keep the thread from, lining up on itself by the knot part, how it always twists around. So as we finish out this card and then move on to the tags, like I said, the folder, they'll be coming up, and I think you'll enjoy that. Took a little bit of math to figure out, but it did work out. So I'm laying down our vase there, popping on the flowers, adding our little heart over to the left there, and then grabbing our Bumblebee in color enamel dots, and then just adding 2 more for that rule of odds, and there we go. That is how easy that card was to make. So moving on to the tag now. That is 2x4, and we're bringing in the delightful tag topper punch. Just shows you how to open it. slipping in our piece of Sahara sand, turning it over, make sure I got it up there all the way, even though it butts up, I still make sure. That is going to be the top of our tag there. Pulling back in the dog punch to get our little heart out, and then the glue dot on back of that. And then I'll be bringing in the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine again to go ahead and get our die on there. And that's the size that we use on the tag. And I do have that in the description for the blog post. But I did that for the top, like right underneath that curve there. And got it left to right, top to bottom, just so it's solely in that square space. And we are going to go ahead and get that through the mini and see how easy that is. My purple tape, be real careful when you pull that off if you don't kind of dull the sticky part on your hand a little bit, because you don't want it pulling off your paper. That is going to be our image panel for the tag there, which is going to be 1 3/8 by 2 inches. We're going to pull back in that same sentiment, that little teeny tiny sentiment, and again lay that down with Memento Tuxedo Black, or that was like an archival black pad that came in one of my paper pumpkin kits I just kept on board. And we are looking good there. No, we weren't. I did this video a couple days ago, so it was getting kind of rusty in my mind. Now I'm going to be pulling in the same greenery and the floral images and get that stamped down. No, not the floral images. The flower pot, that'll go down in basic gray. And there's like a corner greenery, the kind that like hangs over a flower pot. That's going to go down in Just Jade. Every time I have a frame change, I have to like stop the voiceover and then change the speed of the frame back up. And so yeah, if this sounds kind of funky, that is why. So I'm back to our greenery there, and Just Jade. No die cutting on this except for our piece of designer series paper. So I'm going to pull that in right now. Probably got to stop the voiceover because it's slowed down, and then we'll pick it right back up. But before I do that, those are the bricks that we were talking about. Ink them up in our craft white, and just went ahead and laid that down twice. I didn't do a third time because we're going to be laying down our image panel to the far right, just like we did the previous time. And so the rest of this is really easy. For the designer series paper, if you're mass producing these tags, do not die cut every single little 2-inch one across. Cut your designer series paper 6 inches long and run it all through at one time, and then you cut it into 2 inches as you're cutting it up. I hope that was clear as mud. But it's a drag to run something like that through the die cutting machine 5 or 6 times because, why not just get it done easier? Lining up the image panel there on our tag, going to lay down our heart and eventually thread through our twine there. And again, we are in the home stretch of this. So I hope that you enjoyed this week's projects and then seeing how I created them. Don't forget to join me for part 2 for the folder. And enjoy your weekend, especially the Super Bowl tomorrow. Go Chiefs, right? So have a great day, and I will see you again back very soon. Don't forget about Celebration, my buy one, get one free, the February card class I have going on that you can pick up. And I will see you again tomorrow.